Continuiamo con gli eventi di questa giornata che è interamente dedicata alla tecnologia rotocalco, Roto4All presentata da Acimga e dal gruppo rotocalco di Acimga. È il momento di occuparci di questioni legate, diciamo, questioni legislative legate nello specifico al cromo esavalente, che è un elemento importante della lavorazione a rotocalco, insomma della produzione con tecnologia rotocalco. È cruciale per diversi settori, ma nella stampa rotocalco in particolare. L'industria rotocalco europea ha l'autorizzazione all'uso del cromo esavalente fino al 2024, il 2024 è dopodomani, e quindi abbiamo in collegamento il dottor Julian Rotter, Project Manager. Welcome to Roto4All. Ci parlerà il dottor Rotter di...
Welcome. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Welcome, and I think you are free to go with your speech on hexavalent chromium. Please, go ahead. Il dottor Julian Rotter.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your kind introduction. And thank you for hosting this event where everyone can safely participate and is not restricted by any travel bans. So yeah, we are talking about a very specific topic now, but which is of central importance for our industry. It's about being able to continue to use chromium trioxide, because this chemical is used to create the chromium protection layer on top of our printing cylinders. If we cannot use this chemical, we are not able to manufacture printing cylinders anymore. And yeah, the rotogravure business will somehow stop. So the whole issue started when chromium trioxide was classified as a substance of very high concern. That means from 2017 on, you need an authorization to use this chemical in the European Economic Area. And you will only get an authorization if no alternative of this chemical is available, or if a substitution to a different chemical or technology will take some more time. Currently, the rotogravure industry is covered by the so-called CTAC authorization application. And this CTAC application is an upstream application by an industry consortium of around 100 members. And the intention is to cover all 2,000 platers who use these chemicals of all the various sectors where this chemical is needed. When the European Chemical Agency reviewed the application, they recommended a 7-year review period. So that means when this all started in 2017, in 7 years, we will be allowed to use chromium trioxide under this application until September 2024. So the application was heavily criticized since there was insufficient data presented from the downstream users, and possible alternatives were not really discussed. So I think this was a major problem of covering so many platers at once. So this resulted in several motions in court or in the European Parliament, and all of them they hindered a final decision and in the end the implementation of the authorization. But now, 2 days ago, we have the European member states which they approved the CTAC application, and we are now finally convinced that everything is safe. So that means the next step is we are awaiting the final decision by the EU Commission end of November. So we have these two things now more or less ready. And now you, as a downstream user who uses the chemical, you have to act. That means 3 months after the official decision is taken place, you have to register your company through an online platform called Reach IT, that you are using this chemical for plating rotogravure cylinders. Then you have 3 more months until you have to implement an annual environmental monitoring program to basically say that your process is safe enough and you don't endanger your workers. As soon as you implemented this, you have to report these measurements annually to the European chemical agents and to the consortium leaders. At some point in 2023, there will be a decision taken if CTAC will be continued or not. We are not sure if this will happen because more and more companies or industries are starting to do their own application, to be independent of all the issues with such a big one. But what we know is in September 2024, the authorization will end. But we don't want to end our business, so we have to think how we want to continue. And that's why we said as K-Walter, we will do our own application called ChromeXtend, which will cover the whole rotogravure and embossing industry. The idea is that our industry is not able to benefit anymore from bigger applications because our industry has much higher safety standards and we can clearly specify why we need this chemical. And we can furthermore specify why it is necessary and why there are no substitute technologies. This application, ChromeXtend, will be a one-for-all application. We will cover all 117 European production sites in rotogravure. We are expecting that this authorization will be valid for 7 to 10 years, so we will definitely cover this decade. We will do a process and equipment-specific applications where we cover all horizontal plating parts for our cylinders. The authorization is completely funded by K-Walter, which means our industry will have fundamental cash savings. Of course, you can do also your own application for your company, but each application will be, as a company specific one, around 300,000 euros. And in the end, we will write all the same content. But nevertheless, we will lead this application, but we will need your cooperation and your input to have success. So when we're looking at the market, we see we have a few very strong countries and like Germany or Italy. And all of these countries have, of course, their national laws about chemical and plating safety. But now the big difference is, additionally to the national legislation, we will also have a European-wide and independent of your location of the country, the same regulations will apply to all of you. So the companies are more or less distributed everywhere. And what we have small companies and big companies. We have quite a lot of service houses in the industry which just manufacture cylinders which are completely dependent on such an authorization. So they only provide cylinders to printers. But of course, we also have printers who manufacture their own cylinders for packaging, for publication, but also for decor and security. What we also see is that we have some very big companies with over 100 million euro revenue, but we also have smaller companies with just 10 million euro revenue. So company-specific applications will be very, very expensive for some of us. So what we did to assess how the industry really looks like and to provide good data in the authorization draft, we conducted earlier this year a downstream user survey, and we sent questionnaires about a socioeconomic analysis to 105 companies. And these 105 companies also received at their 117 production sites the second questionnaire, where we evaluated all the chemical safety procedures and possible dangers. And I think we can be very, very happy about these results. 80% of the companies gave us an answer, and I guess a lot of you are also involved in this. So thank you very much. Thanks from our whole industry. And we've been already in discussion with the European Chemical Agency about the draft, and we got very positive feedback about the participation rate, but also about the data quality that we collected. So let me show you from some data generated from the questionnaire, why we think as a machine manufacturer we are in a very good position to lead such an authorization application. Because basically the majority of the companies said that in the end, more than half of their revenue is somehow related to K-Volta machines. So that means we as a company, we can describe precisely the processes which are happening at the production sites, and we can also give great detail about how safety procedures are implemented. But we don't only provide machine equipment, but we also provide process technologies and chemicals. And in the end, an authorization is all about chemical risk reduction. That means we have to see that chromium trioxide exposure is reduced to the lowest minimum. What we have at our 117 production sites is a total of about 660 employees who are exposed and possibly endangered. What we saw as well from our analysis is that simply by switching to liquid chromium trioxide formulations, we can reduce the exposure risks by 200 times. So it's basically using liquid formulations instead of solids where you have some dust which you can inhale. We can do this small switch and basically raise our safety standards even higher. That's why we decided from 2024 on, when we do this ChromeXtend application, we will say that liquid chromium trioxide formulations will become mandatory. So we are trying now to change the market that everyone can use this chemical. And in the end, it's not only about complying with the regulations, but also improving your own worker safety and health. So the supply chain of our authorization will look like this, that we will submit a full supply chain authorization application, and that means that the rotogravure industry will be independent of any other authorization. That means you, as a downstream user, you will have the maximum production safety. Because when you apply for your own authorization application, of course you can do this, but you still need someone who imports this chemical and formulate your chemical so that you can use it. If no authorizations for these things are existing, then your single site authorization is basically useless. So what we will do is we will register as an importer so that we can import chromium trioxide from the manufacturing sites outside of Europe. We will have special formulation authorizations that companies can manufacture the liquid formulation, and in the end, you will have an authorization under ChromeXtend to use these formulations for your plating. So The time frame for the application procedure is it's a complicated process to say. So it will be filed January 21, and then we are expecting that it will take about 2 years. So we have different stages, different agencies and committees who are evaluating this, this application. And it is a very public process. So we hope that we are also able to get your support. For example, I guess in the end of first half next year, in the public consultation phase, where you can express your support and the importance of such an application. But we will keep you informed about this. We will update you when we need this help. So therefore, we said we as a company and also our local agents with ETS and COMET, we will provide all the equipment and processes to reduce the current risks to improve your safety standards. As soon as the CTAC regulations are defined and you can move on to your annual exposure measurements, we will host together with ERA a webinar about how to implement the CTAC requirements, how to do this. This will take place around end of November or December. And of course, we will keep you updated about new regulations. So we have maybe new chemicals coming up, hopefully not. And of course, how to improve your processes and best practice. With ChromeXtend, we will approach you when we need your support. And I think we also have to define best practices here, how to use it. And the best approach is, in our opinion, to do this together with you. So if you have ideas how to improve processes, please contact us and we will then write these official best practice sheets together with your input. Of course, we will not only do these communications directly, we also have our Helioscope newsletter where we get all these informations. And that's the part about the regulations. In the end, we want to continue our business indefinitely. So at some point, we have to move to new technologies. And that means, alternatives to chromium trioxide. And I just want to give you a brief outlook on what will become available. Please don't take this as a sales pitch yet. It is a development technology. So the first one is the so-called Heliochrome Neo, which is basically an environmentally friendly alternative based on a chromium-3 electrolyte. And this galvanic technology will not have any regulatory concerns. You can use this as a one-to-one replacement to your current plating process and your plating equipment. And the development is already quite advanced. We are working closely together with Huhtamaki Flexible Packaging in Germany and optimizing this process. The cylinders are already integrated in production printing jobs. And what we see is that the surface quality of these cylinders match already the conventional chrome plating technology. So this looks as a very promising alternative to this regulated chromium-6. But we also have something substantially different. So the so-called HelioPearl product. This is a polymer-based material which is directly laser engravable, and it is an eco-friendly material. You don't need any galvanics anymore. You don't have any problems with toxicity. And the benefit is that your cylinder production is reduced to only 3 manufacturing steps. That means you have your HelioPearl coating, you have a surface finishing in the end, and then you directly laser engrave it. With only 3 manufacturing steps, you can really minimize the time to press, and it is a very cost-efficient process. What is furthermore very exciting about this, you can just use all your current cylinder bases as you've used to and have this in your storage. And yeah, also this is now quite major, but it will take some more time. But we are already able to do printing runs over 100,000 meters currently. So with this, I'm already at the end of this talk. So if you have any questions or are approached also by any authorities about the implementation of legislation about chromium trioxide or other galvanic chemicals, please feel free to contact me directly. And I guess we can find a solution here and also generate a good knowledge base in the industry so that all of us can continue to continue our business. So thank you very much for your attention.